Our priorities as a people, as a commission, mandated from heaven, are not much. Many of the things that we do may not be captured in the emphasis of God. Many of the things we do may bring glory to us. Many of the things we do may bring glory to the name of the ministry. Many of the things we do may bring honor not to God. And if everything is going to be of any relevance to the advancement of the kingdom of heaven, it has to be 100% God and 0 of ourselves. But I told you that it is not possible for a man to lift Jesus and men will not see him. Your intention is not that men see you, but it's impossible for them to not to see you as you lift Jesus. It is ignorance for you to think that just because you lift Jesus up, men will not see you. But it's pride for you to try to hide Jesus and lift yourself up. Anything that involves God has nothing to do with men. Because men in themselves are not capable enough, they are not strengthened enough to represent God. We lack the authority, we lack the ability to represent him. So we are enabled, we are helped. And peradventure a time comes when we feel that somehow by ourselves we do the things we do, then we are doomed. In that light, I need you to understand that our priorities are few. The number one priority of any commission is the salvations of souls. One of the reasons why God sent his son upon the face of the earth was not for anything, but most importantly, primarily for the salvation of souls. And so God saw it within his own benevolence that he recruited mankind into this realm of oppression. And one of the ways he did that was to ensure that his son was laid to be slaughtered. One of the ministers that was giving charge here, he said, the greatest miracle a man can ever have is the miracle of the salvation of soul. And I stand to affirm to that. It is from that that we are healed. It is from that strength that every other thing finds expression. God cannot rejoice when you buy a car. He can't rejoice when you buy a house. He cannot rejoice when you are married. There is only rejoicing in heaven in the day his soul is saved. So our number one priority is to ensure that souls are saved. That's our number one priority. In a miracle service such as this, our number one goal is to ensure that if Jesus come today as a thief in the night, as scripture referenced, you will not be caught up unaware. That in a moment and time where the world decides to come to an end, you will live again in another realm of oppression. There is no goal in us having a lot of possession on the end and we lose our soul. So the Bible said, what shall it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his own soul? So the number one miracle that God will do to anyone is the salvation of his soul. And that is why when we come for miracle service such as this, as much important as your purpose is, as much important as the manifestations of the promises of God over your life, I need to be careful enough to be sure that you are saved. If you are not saved, you can't save another. If you are not certain of your salvation, it's impossible for God to receive glory through your life. Because when you dash another person's car, God can't rejoice. When you give somebody millions, God can't rejoice. If I come here with 10 million naira and I share it to all of you, there will be joy on the earth, but in heaven there may be weeping, because all of you need salvation. So there is not rejoicing in heaven when men are dashed things that are mundane. There are things that make the immortals rejoice. There are things that make the clans of the immortal glad. There are things that make heaven rise in salutation. And that is when a sinner, the wretched among us, is saved. And anytime the most chronic of sinners is saved, there is rejoicing in heaven. Suddenly, God is glad because a destiny is better than time. We rejoice when the child is born. We rejoice when we get a new appointment. We rejoice when we are promoted. But there may be weeping in heaven when there is rejoicing in earth. And in the days when it looks as though men are weeping on the earth, there may be rejoicing in heaven. So when we look in the vistas of the Spirit, the things that make the immortals glad, the things that make them rejoice are the things we are primarily focused on. And that is why every day I let you understand, how does your life positively affect other people. A selfish person is not a person that does not give. It's a person that refuses to witness unto Jesus. The most selfish person on the face of the earth is a person that knows Jesus and refuses to reveal him to others. You are waiting for when Bishop David Oyedepo will come to your village to do a crusade. He may never come. But the Lord has incubated himself inside of you, waiting for when you will tell that your sister about him, waiting for when you will tell that your brother about him. And I bring you a good news. This night, you will be a fine girl that knows Jesus and that can represent him. You will be a fine boy that knows Jesus and you can represent him. Paul said, I am not ashamed of the gospel. I am not ashamed. I don't know about you. Ask your neighbor, are you ashamed of the gospel? Are you ashamed of Jesus? Is there something wrong with telling people that you know Jesus? And ask your neighbor, when was the last time you tell somebody that Jesus loved them? I realize that no demon can stay in the life of somebody that is willing to witness to Jesus. Because anytime you confess that Jesus is Lord, demons run away. Because they don't want you to agree upon the standpoint of that truth. So anytime you continually speak about him, you are refined, you are purified. And that is why one of your greatest immunity against the system of darkness is to be so radical in your representation of Jesus. That anytime you stand and you reveal Jesus, the more the devil leave you. Because the intention of the devil is to put you in bondage to a point where Jesus cannot be revealed through you. As we advance in age, we must advance in grace, and we must advance in our ability to become bold as living witness to represent him. So one of my desire is that everyone that steps their feet in Shekinah can be able to stand anywhere and be proud and say Jesus is Lord. That in your class, in your school, among your friends, you'll be known as one that is separated and consecrated unto God.